Am I the asshole for laughing at my parents for an impossible mix-up? We was staying with my parents for 2 weeks and my daughter Lizzie is a vegetarian. We bought some impossible beef and was going to use it for a later date. My whole family gives Lizzie a hard time for being vegetarian, but she has been one for almost 10 years from 6/16. I have gotten all kinds of hell around the holidays because of things Lizzie wouldn't eat because it had chicken broth or bacon fat in it. I went to the freezer on day to thaw Lizzie meat for burgers that night. It was gone. My mom refused to get cataract surgery and somehow made the whole family Lizzie's gross fake meat, and not one person noticed. It was funny and I told my daughter and my family and laughed at them. My dad got extremely angry at us because he always talks shit about grilling Lizzie's burgers and calls them gross. There was 2 meals that week. It could have been a meatloaf or taco meat and no one noticed. My dad is calling me an asshole saying how could we be so careless and someone could have gotten sick from eating the fake meat, but it says impossible in large letters on the packaging, so it was my mom's mistake and no one at the time said the meal tasted any different, not even my picky ass father, so how judgmental they are of Lizzie. Then dad refused to have the fake meat in the home because of that and instead Lizzie ate a mushroom burger, but I told him I think he's overreacting to this, but he told me I could stay in a hotel because I played a mean trick on everyone. He was grumpy with both Lizzie and I for the rest of the vacation. Not the asshole. Your family is though, aside from Lizzie. I'm vegetarian, but luckily my family is supportive. Well, mostly. Mom and my younger bro are. My older bro is a jerk anyway. My dad is coming for a visit and I know it will be an issue for him. Regardless, there's nothing wrong with impossible meat. Your dad didn't need to be grumpy to you and your daughter. Like what the fuck? Sounds like my dad honestly. Can laugh and make jokes and be hurtful to others, but don't you dare make a joke when he's the butt. Aw. Grown men need to stop being such babies. I hope your vacation with Lizzie wasn't too terribly ruined. Not the asshole. I am a carnivore, and I find this hilarious. Because they fucked up, they're blaming you. Honestly, it serves them right for not paying attention to what was written on the box. Impossible or beyond meat when cooked into strong flavored dishes like taco meat, chili, and spaghetti sauce are almost impossible to tell the difference. Sucks that your mom has cataracts and can't see too well, but how did it slip past everyone else that they weren't eating real meat? That's freaking hilarious. Of course they're mad now, but only because they're being laughed at for something that's totally comical. This is legendary. Do you remember the time when? Material right here. They should be thankful that they got a great story to tell that's genuinely funny and lighthearted. Instead, they're choosing to be butthurt. What a loss. Not the asshole, and keep laughing. Not the asshole. Sounds like your dad is embarrassed because he doesn't have a leg to stand on now. I love that you're so supportive of your daughter's decision to be a vegetarian. Not the asshole. They're just mad because they are embarrassed that they didn't know they were eating the food they had so much dislike for no good reason. Lol. Being proven wrong while not knowing makes an ego hurt. It hopefully should blow over. Am I the asshole for telling my dad that he's effectively made me homeless? I, 22M, moved out of my dad's house around 1.5 years ago. The deal he made with me was that I could always come back home if I was struggling too much financially. I'm a university student and also working full-time. My lease ends on September 1st, and since around July, he and I have been under agreement that I can move back in with him starting in September. Fast forward to today. He texts me out of the blue and says that his current girlfriend isn't okay with me living there and that I'll need to figure something else out. Her reasoning was that she didn't want to have to hear me in the basement late at night since I get off work super late. I would have been quiet. The most noise would have been the alarm going off for 5 seconds when I opened the door. He told me this 2 weeks before my lease is up. I tried to make a case for myself and told my father that we've been in agreement for months that I could move back in, but he's still refusing. I told him he just effectively made me homeless, and that if I had known sooner that I couldn't move back in, I would have looked for somewhere else. He told me I needed to grow up and handle this like an adult, to figure out my own problems. As it stands, most landlords aren't even renting out for September 1st at this point. I'll have to find a place for October 1st. Am I the asshole? Not the asshole. It's sad that he's not even willing to house you temporarily to give you time to find another option, given that he'd made a commitment to you. He's choosing his GF's preferences over your basic needs, and justifying it by saying, well, you're an adult, figure it out, adult or not. You had an agreement and therefore had not made other arrangements, and it's totally inappropriate for him to withdraw that at this point. Not the asshole. He is telling you to grow up, but can't seem to prioritize his own responsibilities here. Unfortunately, it doesn't sound like you have a lot of choice in the matter. All you can do is never, ever, forget this decision he made. This is your excuse to never make a agreement with him again. It's your chance to dodge the next 10,000 favors he asks of you. This is going to be all the proof you need to show that you owe him nothing from here on out. Not the asshole. That really doesn't leave you much time at all to find a place, if there is availability. There's a reason that 30 days is the standard. Especially, if you work full-time. And it probably messes up your finances as well. Little update, I guess. I asked around at work and a few coworkers said they could use an extra roommate to help with the rent. My grandparents also said yes to me staying with them, but live super far away from my school and work. Right now these are my two best options. Not the asshole, but you can always remind him that his decisions now will affect his ability to be a part of your life in the future. You may want also to remind him to save up for his elder care finances, because when he is unable to live on his own, then he can expect to be treated as he is treating you now and will have to figure it out as an adult. He is choosing his girlfriend over you, so let him and choose your future successes and milestones over him. Good luck with your future, and sending good thoughts your way. I don't understand parents that put their relationships above their children. Then when the time comes that they require help in their old age, the said relationship abandons them and are looking help from their kids as if they owe them. Not the asshole, but since the girlfriend has such control over your father, you dodged a bullet. She sounds like she would make your life miserable living there. Rent from Airbnb if you are able to, or crush at a friend's place until you can find something from October 1st. Am I the asshole for following my niece and leaving my brother's house after she unloaded on my brother and Sil? This is something that happened only a few days ago. My niece Sierra, 24 female, had a baby 2.5 weeks ago. She and her partner decided they didn't want anyone at the hospital and would handle visits when things settled a bit. Her dad and stepmom offered to host any family on her paternal side she wanted to have meet the baby, and she agreed, and I was invited. During the visit my brother was holding Sierra's baby and he told Sil, who is step-grandma, that their first grandchild looks just like her and that Sierra's child was a mini Sil. Sierra told her dad not to say that. He told her it was true and should be proud. Sister-in-law asked her why that offends her so much. After all, she is grandma and these things can happen. Sierra said she's a stepmom, a step-grandma. She is not biologically related to her or her child, and both of them need to accept that and stop trying to force this idea that they, Sierra, her child but also Sierra's full siblings, look like Sil. My brother told her to calm down and stop acting hormonal and like there's something wrong with finding familiar features in family. Sierra took her baby off my brother and passed the baby to her partner. Then she told them sister-in-law is not her real family, is not her real mom, is not who she looks like. She told them she has always looked just like her mom and so does her baby. She told them she had warned them they were going to stop acting like sister-in-law was her actual mom and the actual grandma, or she would walk. And she did. She told them she was done. I followed Sierra out, which angered my brother and Sil. I soothed Sierra and reassured her that we haven't all forgotten her mom. Once I got home I realized the anger my brother and sister-in-law held toward me for leaving too, because I had several texts. They told me I had defended Sierra being unreasonably nasty to them and especially to sister-in-law, and I should have stayed to support them instead of Sierra. For those who'll ask for background. My brother was widowed young, Sierra was the oldest at 7, her siblings were 4 and 2. My brother remarried 18 months after his first wife died. He'd known sister-in-law 6 months at the time. It was very fast for Sierra, but the marriage also started because my brother wanted the kids to have a mom, which is something Sierra never liked, and she has never cared for sister-in-law but learned to tolerate her over time. But my brother and sister-in-law do like to talk as though sister-in-law birthed the 3 original kids, which I mentioned before wasn't right because their moms still deserve to be recognized. I was ignored, however. And to clarify what I mean by that. Sister-in-law and my brother will say the kids look just like sister-in-law when all three favor their mom heavily. Or they'll claim they have saved for the kids since birth. They also describe Sierra as their firstborn child. Comments of that nature are very common from them. Am I the asshole? Not the asshole. Your brother is, to be honest. I'm an auntie and my loyalty is always 100% to my niece and nephew. Sierra's well-being is paramount here. Your sister-in-law and brother are overstepping. Sierra is probably really missing her mother now more than ever. It was grossly insensitive and plain cruel. Not the asshole. Sierra sounds like she is done with a lifetime of this nonsense at the expense of her own feelings. And for her dad, your brother, to tell her to stop being hormonal is actually gross and likely not the first or only time hormones have been used to disregard the legitimate pain and frustration Sierra has about sister-in-law and this behavior. If anything, you need to support her more, and ask why two mature adults who are now grandparents felt they were the ones who needed your support. They should be thanking you for ensuring she was okay and doing the bare minimum for a child they clearly don't care about beyond using her as a prop for their delusions about this family unit. Not the asshole. Your brother was sucky by telling her not to act hormonal from the outset, and then your brother and sister-in-law have clearly continued to push a boundary that Sierra has set. Good for you for backing her up by following her out, but she likely could have used some interference in the moment. Not the asshole. You supported your niece when she felt her boundaries were crossed. Your brother and sister-in-law may mean well, but dismissing her late mom's role is hurtful. Following Sierra showed you respect her feelings. It might help to discuss this calmly with your brother and sister-in-law to find common ground. Sister-in-law and my brother will say the kids look just like sister-in-law when all three favor their mom heavily. Or they'll claim they have saved for the kids since birth. They also describe Sierra as their firstborn child. Comments of that nature are very common from them. That is creepy and bizarre, and I am amazed any of the kids still speak to them because I would be repulsed. Not the asshole. They told me I had defended Sierra being unreasonably nasty to them. No. Not the asshole, and good on you for backing up your niece here. This is clearly an issue that has been bothering her throughout her life, her stepmother trying to make it out that all of the kids somehow resemble her, and pushing it onto her own child is a massive step too far. She was right in just noping out of there, and you were very kind to follow her. Brother is an asshole for immediately jumping to the, oh, hormonal woman trope, and obviously sister-in-law is an asshole and frankly quite weird for trying to make it a thing that someone else's totally unrelated baby looks like them. That's just outright weird. Am I the asshole for refusing to bring my ex's other children along on days out with our two sons? I, 32M, have two sons, Jamie, 11M, and Jaden, 10M. Their mother and I were high school sweethearts who had the boys before we finished college. We had planned to get married, but then I found out my ex was cheating on me and I broke up with her. Jaden was 14 months old at the time. We split custody and I paid child support for the first 18 months post-breakup, until my ex was earning similarly to me, which meant child support was ceased and costs were simply split with nobody giving anyone extra. My ex had another son 2 years after we broke up. The father was not in the picture. She told me he was the guy she cheated on me with and that she realized he was a POS, etc., and asked if I would consider adopting her son and raising him as my own alongside our boys. I told her I wasn't going to do that. We ended up arguing about this for so long that she had time to get into another relationship and move this man in, so I told her that he should be a father figure to her son since they plan on building a life together. Within a year that guy was gone and she had a daughter he fathered. I continued being a dad to my sons only. I didn't interact with her other two children, but I would see them from a distance during exchanges. She asked me to adopt both her additional children, stating they needed a father. I told her to go and find their fathers then. She eased up when she met her husband. I thought maybe it was finally the end of her trying to make me responsible for her other children. She has a child with her husband now too, so 5 in total in her household when our boys are included. But it has not lasted. My ex has admitted her husband isn't involved in the lives of her other children and they are still missing out on having a father. So she asked me to include her 3 other children, and that does include the child she has with her husband, in days out I have with my sons. She said especially during summer and around Christmas when I take them to do fun holiday-themed activities, it's not something she can give her other children and she wants them to experience these things also. She finds out when I do these things with my boys because she will quiz them about their time with me. And each time she gets angry. But when the boys were with her 2 weeks ago she got extra pissed. She had mentioned to me that her son, the oldest of her other 3 kids, didn't get much for his birthday and she had wanted to make it up to him. That was meant to mean me. So when she heard our boys and I had visited an amusement park around his birthday, she blew a fuse and asked me how I can be such an asshole to children. She told me I should be doing better as a father. Am I the asshole? That is a special kind of crazy. You know what would have fixed all her problems? Not cheating on you. Yeah. All her children would have a dad. No one's playing favorites. Nobody's missing out on birthdays or holidays because you're actually a good father to your children. It's amazing she has the absolute gall to ask you to take in her other kids. How do you even go about this? I know I cheated on you, but my other child. My other children. Look, my frickin' brood of children don't have dads, so it'd be great if you just adopted all of them. Hell no, you're not the asshole. Wow. Your ex has made some really poor decisions. No need for you to pay for them up. Not the asshole. Not the asshole. Your ex has some audacity, doesn't she? She tried to baby trap 3 different men, and they all failed. She keeps coming back to you because you're the only one responsible enough to be involved in your kids' lives. How much do you want to bet that she asked the other men to be a father to her previous kids too? If she can't provide for her existing children, then she should stop having them. How could she be such an asshole to children? You are not obligated to play dad to her other children at all. They are not your responsibilities. She needs to focus on giving her children the best life she can. Not finding a man to take care of them so she doesn't have to. AITA. I wonder if there's some sort of chemical imbalance in her brain. Them kids are nothing to do with you. Could you seek full custody of your kids? Removing them from this madness could only be beneficial. AITA, you don't owe her anything and you are not being an asshole to your kids. They're not your responsibility. It's not like you are rubbing things in her kids' faces. But maybe encourage your sons to not tell their siblings much. Which obviously doesn't help with the mother interrogating them. My half-sister's mother abandoned her to my dad when she was 6. My dad didn't ask my mom to take responsibility for her or be a mother to her. It wasn't her job. Granted, we were all equally poor and not doing much. Not the asshole. Is there any way that full custody of your kids is an option? I'd hate to think what life is like with mom if they're getting interrogated about everything they do when with you.